The gentleman's time has expired. Mr. Johnson of Georgia is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to this witness for your appearance today. And sir, I would like to ask you, does the FBI target parents at school board meetings who are protesting against, mask mandates, critical race theory, or any other subject, and they do not threaten violence? Does the FBI have a system where it investigates these parents who are lawfully exercising their First Amendment rights?
So the answer is no. The FBI, the Department of Justice, investigates crimes, violence, and threats of violence. It does not, in fact, it is prohibited from opening investigations based solely on First Amendment protected activities. So there is no targeting of anyone for exercising their First Amendment rights, and in fact, that was made clear by the Attorney General and is consistent with my experience over 20 years at the Justice Department.
Has the FBI seen a rise in threats against local school board officials that are threatening violence?
So my understanding is that there's been a general rise in threats against individuals who serve in positions such as school boards, but also other local and state elected officials, as well as law enforcement, and that this concern about the rise in threats of violence, criminal activity involving people who serve in positions of civic life is a growing concern for the Department of Justice, as it is for state and local police departments and prosecutors around the country.
And does the FBI and the Justice Department coordinate with local and state governments when there are threats of violence against school board officials?
Yes, in fact, that partnership between federal law enforcement and federal prosecutors, but particularly on the law enforcement side, between the federal side and the state and locals, is at the heart of the effort to ensure that people who serve in positions of public trust at every level are not subject to threats of violence. And at the same time, that individuals who seek to speak out at open hearings, whether in a school board or a city council hearing, that those rights are protected as well.
Thank you. Do you find that the United States, excuse me, has been targeted with disinformation from both foreign and domestic sources, and that this disinformation affects parents at local school board meetings? It affects members of Congress with respect to disinformation about Hunter Biden, should there be any. Do you find that disinformation has caused people to react in ways that are problematic?
I can't speak to particular instances of disinformation or misinformation and how it may affect individuals in particular matters. What I can tell you is that the intelligence community for the United States does believe and has assessed that the spread of information, particularly over social media, has increased the reach and the speed of that reach of violent content, and it has increased the speed at which individuals may become radicalized and mobilized to violence. And that is where we are focused, is where individuals are moved to commit acts of violence or threats of violence, criminal acts, that we therefore can then investigate and prosecute.
Has this disinformation been a factor in the rise of the terrorist threat from far-right nationalists, domestic far-right nationalists who are also racists?
In my view, Congressman, the challenge of disinformation and misinformation is agnostic. We saw this challenge when it came to the use by ISIS of propaganda to try to recruit and mobilize people to violence in the United States. And it's true when it comes to domestic violent extremists as well, who may be moved to become radicalized based on misinformation and disinformation that they may consume over social media from other sources.
Thank you. I thank you for being diligent in the protecting of the security of the American people. And with that, I yield back.